Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
You are first going into the forays of indie, quote-unquote indie comics, right? Where you are looking at it from an outsider's perspective as a subculture, and then after a while you sort of transition from like, this is not a subculture, these are my people now. Like it's such an interesting sort of weird transition, right? You go from like, hey, I'm into this is kind of subversive, and now it's like it's your everyday life, man. Like you're living that life now, you know? Like, does it feel weird?
No, I love being there now, and because of the like places that I found myself in, I didn't always find myself like with a lot of other comic book creators most of my life, that I was always looked to as like the comic book guy, or like the guy who knew about comics. And so then, you know, as I started creating my own comics and stuff, I was living in Burlington, Vermont when I published my first like real comic by photocopying it at a Kinko's.
Like your heroes, man.
Exactly. I always felt like, you know, I was doing something that was like underground guerrilla or something, that I was like, you know, going through the system in order to like get my thing out there, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Shortbox Podcast, Season 7.
The Shortbox Podcast was recorded before a live internet audience.
Yo, Shortbox Nation, welcome back. This is episode 324. New friends, first timers, welcome to the show. You're now tuned into the Shortbox Podcast, automatically making you part of the Shortbox Nation going forward. My name is Botter Milligan, and I'm one of two hosts today, because this week I'm not riding solo, baby, not like last week. I'm joined by my right-hand man, Cesar Cordero.
It ain't easy being greasy.
And as you could probably tell, Ashley and Ed aren't here with us today, which would normally mean we'd be at half power. But to make up for that, we are joined by a guest making his Shortbox debut this week. His name is Eli Schwab, and he's got to be a time mage, because there's no way a normal human being has this much time in their day for the different things he's responsible for, or the different hats he wears.
Oh, for sure. He's definitely like trying to use tachyons to his advantage, so that way he can overwork himself to our benefit.
Yo, 100%. For starters, he's a writer and artist at Cosmic Lion Productions. He's host of the flagship radio show of the same name. He's also host of the Comic Talk podcast, Can I Twip It?, which I think is just a great name.
Calm down.
But it features a hip-hop MC, Manus, as his co-host.
Yep.
And last but not least, and this, remember, this is the abbreviated intro. I'm not giving you everything he's done, but Eli is also the head guy in charge of the seminal comic Facebook group, Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats. It's an online community for fans of Cartoonist Kayfabe to discuss creators, videos, and most importantly, comics. Now, before you get the pleasure of meeting Eli, I want to go ahead and thank our sponsor, Gotham City Limit, for bringing you this episode commercial free. Gotham City Limit is Jacksonville's premier shop for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. Let's go ahead and give it up one more time for our sponsor. And now welcome our guest of honor. Shortbox Nation, let's welcome Eli Schwab to the show. What's up, Eli? How you doing?
What up, guys? Good to be here.
Yo, how are you doing today? You live out in Cali, right? You're on the West Coast?
That's right. Yeah. Right outside of LA in Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Well, we'd be your a polar opposite side of the country, maybe a slightly degenerate cousin in Florida, you know?
Well, hey, I actually just came when I moved out here from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, word.
Oh, wow.
I went to college at Full Sail in Orlando for a bit, and then my girlfriend's family is actually from Jacksonville.
Come on,
wow.
man. We got the connection.
Okay.
All right, so we got what is that? Almost 2 degrees?
That's right.
Of Kevin Bacon?
That's 2 degrees.
I like it. Is there like a big difference, like a significant difference in comic shops in Florida versus the West Coast?
Oh, yes, very much
Oh.
so. And I think the big thing is like space. And I don't mean space where the tachyons and
The final frontier.
used to. I just mean like space. Like, I lived in St. Petersburg and I went to this place called Emerald City Comics. They were like outside of Clearwater. Amazing, huge store, tons of long boxes, warehouse feel, but here in LA, everything's like cityfied. So like many stores don't even bother with long boxes don't even bother with like back issues or any of that stuff. So it's just like new comics, new stuff, shirts, toys. So like that's the big difference to me is that like if you want long boxes and you want the dig, you got to kind of find a different type of store. Like my weekly store doesn't bother with long box or he's in long boxes, but you know what I mean, like with back issues and stuff. But like then again, we also have that store that's called Spiro's Heroes, which is like a freaking giant warehouse of nothing but long boxes
That's
and
awesome.
back issues. So they kind of make up for it, but that's the big difference to me.
You know, I have noticed that with newer shops, because we've got a few new ones opening up, and it's going more of like that kind of almost, and I say respectfully, like boutique kind of feel to it, where their primary focus is on like new comics, merch, more of like figures. And
It's kind of like a showroom floor at like a car dealership, like it's like, hey, you want to take this one for a spin? This is Immortal Hulk. Come on. You like it. It's good.
And I'm starting to see more and more of those like, warehouse spots or that warehouse shop layout kind of go, it's
Yeah, but there's so much, it's like
Boy,
it's worth it
what?
when you fiend them,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Like it's almost like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark where you're like, oh my God, gold, everything.
Thrill of the hunt, man.
It's it.
for sure. Eli, how has the last year been for you?
I gotta say, I'm incredibly lucky for the way that this pandemic has gone for me, and for the crew of people that I met up with, like through Cartoons Kayfabe Ringside Seats. Like, we were able to turn this terrible time for the community, for the world, and harness our group need for like something to do to keep our minds off the hellscape outside of our doors.
Sure.
And that's just kind of what became Image Grand Design. That was like, we're all most people were out of work. Most people, didn't, have anything to do. Their Taekwondo studio shut down, their tattoo parlor can't tattoo, and these different things. And so then they were looking for something to do. And then Ed just made that video. And then, Wizard happened, Wizard the Comics magazine,
Right.
Another kayfabe project. And literally that was all happening. Like I had all this planned. I had a release party planned at the comic shop, and all this stuff. And that just everything fell away, and so me shipping out Wizard was right when the pandemic started. And then all this stuff got canceled. And then it was just like, what's the next project? And then we were like, we've got to do Image Grand Design. And so then that past year and the pandemic turned into this creative time unlike any other, and like unlike any other that could ever be.
Without getting all into the transcendent, but kinda, I mean, isn't it interesting how you kind of hear the story sort of like universally amongst artists, and it's almost kind of like a weird sort of like, oh God, I don't want to sound this way, but sort of like shamanistic approach to creating your art form. Because now it's like, okay, how do we come together as a community during the darkest of times to basically like practice art, you know, like, and get it out there? Like, did you find yourself changed in any sort of way?
I mean, absolutely, because just being able to find the good in this crazy time, being able to just take the pain and harness it out into, and like put it on the page. And, you know, we couldn't do these things, so we're going to do this other thing. And we're going to put all the time and energy that we were going to put into maybe this like soul sucking job that we hate, or maybe this, our creative path.
Sure.
But now we don't have that potential energy. And so, you know, we put it all into the kinetic energy of creating this thing together and becoming one. So like, I went into the pandemic without a lot of Zoom friends, and now I have a ton of Zoom friends.
Sure.
You know? And the Zoomiverse has expanded our world by so much. And so, you know, we have these late night Zooms where we're all, you know, we'll talk some of the time, but then the rest of the time is just heads down, writing, drawing. And it's like, it's just completely changed the creative way that you see creation. Because for us, we're able to now work in these think tanks or comic book creating pods and just like create across the world. You know, we got Image Grand Design straight up had people from all over the world, like from the Philippines to France to Canada to the US, Mexico, Australia, like all over the world, just connected on this one project. It was.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
Dude, I mean, that's magical, man. Like, I mean, that's something that, look, horrific events, and you wish it was under better circumstances, but the fact that you found a way, like, to basically like practice your art or magic with other people, you know, and collaborate that way, and
even level up at a time.
Oh, sure.
So much stuff is leveling down, or however you want to say it.
Those vibrations are worldwide, man. For sure.
Absolutely.
While we're on the topic of Image Grand Design, because I feel like I've got a lot of topics to kind of cover with you, like just because based on the amount of projects you've got on your plate. But Image Grand Design, I think, is the primary reason we've got you on the show today. As someone who has purchased the book on imagegranddesign.com and has thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, honestly, this is what I was already thinking about having you on the show when you put out the Wizard fanzine. But Image Grand Design, seeing that finished product, and then also knowing that all the proceeds go to a really good cause for a Heroes Initiative was the last straw. I said, I got to get this man Eli on. I'm seeing him all over the place on Previews World, on Comics Lounge. We got to get you. We had to get you on the Short Box. So Image Grand Design, right? You guys boast it is the most elaborate fan comic of all time, according to the website. And as you've already said, it's got over 30 artists from all over the world working together for over a year to put together this one-of-a-kind together piece of work. And you guys are selling it, you know, digital copies, of course, for $5 online. I think there was like a small run of physical copies that's probably long gone by now. But I guess give us the genesis of the idea, because from my understanding, it all kind of ties in together, like from the Cartoonist Kayfabe group on Facebook to that first Wizard fanzine, and then even to Ed Piscor and things like that. I guess tie it all together.
I was about to say, what's the origin story of this, and break it down for people who may not know what this is.
Definitely. The origin straight up is that Ed Piscor just had this crazy idea because he did, Hip Hop Family Tree is basically hip hop grand design. And then he did X-Men grand design. And then he just pitched this crazy wild idea for Image grand design, which would link all of the original Image stories together. And there's this disease kind of thing that brings that links stuff. So it's not like Shadowhawk had AIDS. It was this like other disease that was like also killed Al Simmons and all these different things. And and
he pitched this idea like just kind of loosely.
I didn't know how loose that was. Yeah,
just freestyled it on like a video.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I had to do
just off the top of his head.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so after that, Michael Kemp made a fake ad for Image Grand Design, said coming soon for Wizard Comics Magazine #1. And that was just funny. It was just a funny thing that, and then they covered and they were like, oh, you guys got to do this. And then that just got the ball rolling. Then Jerome Cabanatan, who is like a human fire starter, he just was like, all right, I did 2 pages now. Okay, I did it in pen. Here they are. Let's get started. Who's next?
Wow.
And then there's just a bunch of people that started, and this all it all basically took almost exactly 1 year, because it was March 25th, my birthday, is when I got the first message. And it's crazy that this episode is 324, because if it was only the next episode, then it would be my birthday number. Anyway, that's stupid, but
I can go to finagle something. What you want me to do? I'll release this
one.
Yeah, I got it.
All connected, man. It's all connected.
Okay, so Jerome messaged me on my birthday and was like, yo, we got to do this. And then also another dude, Greg Giordano, messaged me and he was like, I'm thinking of doing this. And then Rocco Jerome, and then he mentioned Rocco Jerome, and then Rocco Jerome was like, ooh, we got to get this started. So then they had a meeting while I was off on this birthday trip with my lady. And so that when I came back, the balls were already rolling. Straight up, they took down, what's the word? They translated from video to the words for the video that Ed did. Then they broke it, transcribed. They transcribed Ed's pitch. Then they they broke it up into segments and pages. Rocco Jerome did all this.
Damn.
Then he made a freaking Google sign-up sheet for people to sign up for pages. And then people just signed up for all those pages. And then that was it, man. We were like off to the races. We were going. We started having these Zoom chats. We started having these late night, drunken, high Zoom parties, enjoying it. Like just, and really like becoming like a family, a group, like becoming real life friends, even though we've never met in real life. Like I would consider these guys some of my best friends now, and we've never really met IRL.
And wait, all of these guys are various members of the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside group page, various comic creators themselves, and I mean the Rocco Jerome individual you keep speaking about, he ends up being the editor for this Image Grand Design book, right?
Right. Yeah. He kind of helped like once we got everything in, he helped like stitch that together. And now this is not even to say that there's not the flip side of the book, which is Image Grand Disaster. The digital release just today was just released digitally today in the Darden cut, #release the Darden cut.
Okay.
Today. Mark Darden, aka Guano Guy from his creator.
Awesome.
And is the way I explained it to C was Image Grand Design was like with the lead of Jerome Rocco, it was like, hey, we've got a concise story. We're sticking to Ed's pitch that he originally gave, and then Image Grand Disaster. The flip side of the book was like everyone that signed up and was like, I got this crazy idea that has nothing to do with that shit, but it's rad.
Oh, dude, I was sold on both. After you told me and I like read it, I was like, yo, what?
Yeah. Like I want to see Raphael, Ed and Jim, Shadowhawk, and Savage Dragon fighting zombies, and it's just like, do it, dude. And that happened. That's in there. Actually, see, Jerome Cabanatan and Rocco Jerome are two separate folks and sometimes people confuse this. But so Jerome Cabanatan did that one where it's like Ed and Jim fighting zombies and Raphael and stuff. Just wild.
Comic book coven, if you will. It's wonderful.
So what did because I know like Ed and Jim Rugg will frequent, or at least I don't know if they're actively always on the Facebook group page, but I know that they kind of like tune in, or they're aware of things. And they were aware of the Wizard fanzine when you put that out last year or earlier this year. Did they say, how were they aware of Image Grand Design and that you guys were running with Ed's idea?
Yeah, totally, man. Because I didn't start the kayfabe group, but I basically did. Like, I wrote them literally one day after this girl Sasha wrote them and was like, I'm gonna start this page, and they're like, sweet. And then I wrote them literally the next day, and I was like, yo, I want to start this page. And they're like, oh, you got to talk to this girl Sasha. And so then I ended up talking to Sasha, and she was kind of like, yeah, I started it, but I'm not really interested in like being on Facebook ever. I was like, okay, I'll take over. And so she made me all the mods and stuff. So that happened. And even from the start of all that, I know I'm kind of losing the question here, but even from the start of all that, making a zine, making a fanzine, making a group production was always the plan. Because there's two groups before that I was in that I also harnessed the power of the group.
Oh boy.
And released like a killer fanzine. I'm a big fan of this band Ween, Ween.
During my research, that word kept popping up a lot.
Do you know?
Ween.
Have you ever heard their music before?
And I was like,
this is funny.
This sort of like, I for some reason I could not help but think about like the SpongeBob episode where they're talking about something. I thought it was something Ween related, but it wasn't. I was like,
absolutely. The Mollusk by Ween is an album.
There we go.
Directly influenced the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants to create SpongeBob. And if you're a fan of SpongeBob, you got the loop-de-loop and pull, and your shoes are looking good.
That's it.
That's Ween. And also Ocean Man, which is like the big song at the end of the movie, is also by Ween.
I'm still going to take a little bit of, I'm going to give myself some points for making the SpongeBob tie without it.
Yeah.
But you've created it sounds like you've created, if you like some shit hardcore, it sounds like you will create a zine, because you've created this Ween zine.
Issue 6 on pre-sale right now.
This guy is good. I was telling C, I was like, hey man, this dude's been podcasting and in the comic space for about 10 years. I think he's gonna be on his game. He's gonna be on his shit.
I'm so stoked to I want to fall into your Ween, sir. I just want to fall into it. As suggestive as that sounds, I want to do it. Because I am in my late 30s. And I totally remember when they came out, and it was like, what the hell am I listening to? This is country, but it's not really. It's kind of making fun of country, or at least
that's
really.
The 12 Golden Country Greats.
Oh my god,
It's
dude.
so beautiful. It's beautiful.
Eli just sang the SpongeBob shoe tie song. I got a man crush already. That's amazing. And your shoes are looking good. You are a fool for that. So you've created. So you're no stranger to zines. Like you've created a fanzine based on it sounds like your favorite music group, but you've also created a pretty popular and successful TMNT fanzine as well, and you even had like Kevin Eastman on early on in your Cosmic Lion Radio, right?
I did, yeah.
You've had a few hitters.
Is it TMNT Day today?
Is it TMNT Day?
I think maybe today or yesterday. I don't remember. I saw something. I played
That would be
it.
amazing.
I feel like it's pause worthy. Like it's worthy enough to pause.
I played the video game yesterday.
All right, Eli. Oh, Eli
hell
is
yeah.
showing us
I'm
for
a
our
blood
audio.
for
For our audio guys. Eli is showing off.
He basically lifted up his sleeve and showed us
suck
the
it,
most
bitch.
gnarly ass fucking tattoo of one of
Page
our.
one of TMNT issue
There, that's
2.
it right there.
I can already tell you are one of these guys that, when you set your mind to something, you're going to go do it. Because I noticed that you've had majority of like your icons and your favorite, comic creators. You've had Kevin Eastman on episode 40 of Cosmic Line Radio. You've had Matt Wagner on, creator of Grindel.
Oh, yeah.
On as well. And one thing I didn't mention in that intro, because then I would still be introducing you and all of your accolades, is that you also co-host a weekly Grindel reread vodcast, which is the first time I ever heard that phrase, but I might steal it. But you and with your co-host Ben Grinoff, but you guys reread all of Grindel and talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Did you read the Shadow Grendel crossover?
Loved it. Yeah, we even covered it on the cast already.
It is good, right? Like
So good.
it fits so perfectly in that world. Like,
And the thing about that one is, as Matt said in our vodcast, that was his favorite character. So like that was him crossing his creator owned character over with like his favorite thing. And like I was getting into it And, we message with Matt every now and then. And, we talk on the chat. And when I was talking to Matt about the Shadow, he was getting as psyched as I am now talking to you about TMNT. He was like throwing books at me to get and talking about all his favorite artists. And like, so for Matt, like the Shadow is his shit.
I can relate. I'm like, I always tell Botter, I'm like, the Shadow got his Duracell ring in South America, which allows him to expand and hypnotize, cloud the minds of men, like, and he's sitting here just kind of like,
I think this one might be one that we have to put out in a video form or show off the Zoom video, only because C started blushing when you instantly recognized that Shadow and Grindel crossover.
I love Matt Wagner so much. I get starstruck.
So and he's such a cool dude. He's such a great guy, like giving and like open to us, like, dissecting the cast. And like, we're not over here like just being like every page is glory, we're cutting it up a little bit.
Sure.
We're trying to keep it funny and fun. And he's like right there with us, and he's happy. Like at the end of every arc, he's happy to help us get the artists on the next cast. And like, man, we did one interview, Matt Wagner, Diana Schutz, Teddy Christensen, and Tim Sale was one of the issues we did, talking about the Devil Child series that Diana Schutz wrote. And like, that was freaking mind blowing. And so it was like a family reunion for them. And then, we've been talking with the Panda Bros through our Instagram. And so as soon as we're done this 12 issue run, Panda Bros and Matt like are going to come together, and hopefully Diana again. Like, so just through them buying into it, it's been amazing to like, become part of this family. It's so cool. They say never meet your heroes. Well, you're wrong.
And also we're calling it now. Diana, come on back.
Yeah.
What's your favorite medium? Is it do you like podcasting more? Do you like creating zines more? Or are you more of a comic guy? What's your favorite? Because it sounds like whatever you've kind of touched has been fairly popular. You've had some success to it. But what's your favorite?
You should see some of those Cosmic Line radio numbers. That is not good. No, I'm just kidding. So, some of the podcast work, like especially Cosmic Lion Radio, was like just for the love. And like I learned early, just write to people, just write a letter, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, that's how I got Kevin Eastman on. That's how I got Mike Allred. That's how I got, like I said, Jim Morrison's film school buddy, Hunter Thompson's road manager, just writing letters. And people are down, I've created comics. I made my first comic in 3rd grade, and it was a Star Trek comic with my friend Levi Luss. Shout out. He loves when I shout him out for that. I love writing and drawing comics. Like there's no purer form of expression for me. All that's like, because that's something I've always done. I've always drawn. I've always created. I've always been a creative type of person, whether it be the story that I'm creating with my action figures, like how did Batman make his way onto the bridge of the Enterprise? Or how did, why is there a chase between the Batmobile and a shuttlecraft? Or, why are, I've always wanted to create. And so I think that creation through comics, it has got to be my first love. But then, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
I mean, it's just tough because they're all like offshoots, and like, I like, again, I'm not one of those people that like, oh yeah, I like that thing a bit. No, it's like, I freaking love this thing. I'm diving all the way in. When I like something, it is like, I'm in.
Potter, this guy's intense.
I wish Eli lived in Jax. I'd have him on the fucking show.
He's got me wanting to see a Batman crossover team up where him and Odo from Deep Space Nine solve a whodunit.
Dude, Odo versus Clayface.
Come on.
Just liquid. Come on. Up. Oh my God.
Sign me up.
Like I said, my girlfriend's family lives in Jacksonville, so we're going to meet up sometime.
Hell
Eli,
yeah.
straight up. Next time you come visit, you shoot me a message. I will have you come through the Short Box studio.
Hell
I
yeah,
got
man.
you.
Yes. Can't wait.
But I wanted to ask. So I noticed, I think I mentioned in the intro, you do a comic podcast with Hip Hop MC Manus. It's called Can I Twip It? I think the latest episode you guys did was covering King in Black. And I'll go ahead and admit to you, I was a little bit like, oh, wow, he's covering a big Marvel event. And I think just seeing all the things you do and how kind of grassroots it is, I guess I wasn't assuming, oh, this guy keeps up with modern comics. So I was curious are regular comic heads or friends reluctant to approach you about talking comics? And does the rep of running like the Cartoonist Kayfabe group and all these zines that you've created, does that give people like myself a false interpretation that you don't mess around with mainstream comics?
I mean, I would hope not, because I think one great thing about the Kayfabe group is that they kind of cover everything, the wide range of everything. And I'm the kind of person that I almost never err on the side of like negativity. One big thing with Kenneth Whippet is that Manis is like a huge Spider-Man fan. He just loves Spider-Man, everything Spider-Man to him. So we tend to err on the side of like mainstream books. And see, the cool thing about that podcast, I like that it's like this other thing. But our whole thing was before the pandemic. That's why we kind of haven't done an ep for a while. But before the pandemic is like, I would wake up early. I would go to his house. We'd cruise to a bunch of stores. We'd get our new books. We'd go back to his place. We'd maybe blaze a little bit. We'd read the new books together, like reading together. And like, we'd both be reading whatever it is. King in Black and Venom, like the new Venom line, was like a book that we started together, that new #1. And then we just decided like, okay, we're going to cover this the whole way. And so then we had to like keep going with King in Black. And that's like what brought us back to do like vodcasts and stuff. So that was just this magical thing that me and Manis did, where we would be sitting there, a little blaze, we're reading, and then we're both like, oh, like when something crazy happens, like from reading. And it was just like so cool to do. And then that kind of grew into these like, kind of like shows we were trying to pitch, and like trying to, take a little bit Antiques Roadshow, a little bit, which I love Antiques Roadshow, a little Antiques Roadshow, a little bit Comic Book Men, a little bit of, like Pawn Stars kind of thing, where we're cruising around to different stores. And that was like this pitch we were trying to do. So you can check out the Kenneth Whippet YouTube channel for that. And so we were trying to do all that.
I can only imagine like just like getting Blaze and just being like, dude, it's like this story arc is like Spider-Man meets Elric of Melniboné.
Oh my God.
He's got fucking Stormbringer. It's amazing.
Well, on the topic of King of Black, which is a relatively pretty new series that came out, what's on your pull list? Because you mentioned that you do have a local shop that you go to. What are some other modern or current comics that you pick up from your pull?
Here's the moment of truth now.
Oh, he's digging in the back.
I got this short box.
Yo, I got that same Jim Lee short box. Aren't those decorative short boxes like one of the best things that have come out in like the last 5 years for comic books?
You guys sound like the Sweaty Balls skit from SNL.
Short box here.
Wonderful short box.
So girthy.
It's
Spider-Man Shadow, Spider Shadow. That's like the What If, the new What If.
The Chip Zdarsky book.
Oh yeah,
dude. James Stokoe, Orphan and the Five Beasts.
Come on
shit
now.
is rad, right? Yeah,
I love Stokoe.
He is. His
book Wonton Soup blew me away.
Never read that.
I'm also a chef. I love to cook, and so like, oh my God,
really? Is it?
Have you read that?
I have not.
I haven't read it.
Is it all about cooking? By James Stokey?
It's like sci-fi cooking.
Oh, okay. So it's like his alien dead orbit meets, that sushi doc.
It's kind of like that. Yeah, like and he does that kind of thing that like Brandon Graham does, where he'll like point to stuff and it's like this, and he'll have these like weird like It's just amazing. Hard to describe. Crossover by Image was insane. I get the X books still, but I've kind of fallen off reading them. I just still get them though, because another thing, I kind of just buy the books sometimes because I want my store to succeed, though they're not hurting. But it's like, especially during the pandemic, I was like trying to stay up on my weekly books just because it's
100%.
Like,
yep.
I don't want
to help them out.
Yeah. Support the ministry,
and you
man.
guys mean the world. Yeah.
It's nice because we've got like the shop that I actually pick up my books on a weekly basis sponsors this show, so it was like even more incentive to like be like, our running joke is that me and him just trade money. He's like, here's sponsorship money. I'm like, here's your money right back at you, buddy. Let me go buy that $60 artist edition book that just came in.
Yeah, exactly. It just in and out.
So I think I've been a member of the group, I think maybe for about a year now, and as soon as I joined it, I felt like I was joining a club full of like Cesars and Eds.
Old guys.
Old guys that like loved obscure comic books that no one else has read, but then also like, dudes my age like that have grown up on the same stuff. But honestly, that Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside group page has put me onto so many dope comic books and creators. And I will say I've never seen a group who loves Barry Windsor Smith more than that group.
That
it
checks
is
out.
insanely like how much they
Checks
love
the fuck out. That's funny.
But I'll be honest, ever since joining that group, I have been. Oh, dude, that Monsters book.
Yeah, it seems to be like the top about
right. Like I'm kind of like I need to go buy this Barry Windsor Smith Monsters book because everyone's talking about it. But I mean, yes, like I'm always happy to see like the recommendations that go up on that group. Everyone seems to be very cordial. Granted, I've seen some like pretty heated debates being had, but it's like, we're debating comic books,
Par for the course.
So Eli, how challenging is it to run a community like that? I think it's cool that group lives on Facebook because I think for a lot of folks, and I've seen it echoed in that group, that is the main reason I kind of keep my Facebook. For like the groups that I'm in,
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you've talked about like wrangling artists. Is that sort of similar in the sense that like you're herding a bunch of cats? Like, is there a comparison between working with your artists who are also fans and like the other side of it, just the fans who are going to enjoy the art? What's the comparison?
It is not easy. It's not easy. Like, as the group grew, I was trying to moderate things myself, and things started. They would take turns into the political, or really trying to debate which creator is canceled and this type of stuff. And I took a stand kind of early that I wanted to keep it comics, and then I got a lot of pushback for that. Saying, this is a place to talk about all things comics, and if not here, where, and like this is a place, and so I took a little bit of heat for that at the beginning, but I kind of I wanted to stand firm on that, and I, looking back on that decision, maybe I wouldn't have made the same one now in order to have maybe address it on a case-by-case basis. But at the time, I just felt really like overwhelmed by the growth of the group, and then how to handle these different viewpoints and the crazy world politically we are living in. And so after that event, I decided to bring in some like other moderators to help, and shout out William Hoffnecht of the 100% Comics, and Sean and some of the other dudes that I brought on. Like, I just needed help with it because I didn't want to be responsible all the time for kicking people out or whatever. And I'm able to keep this face of like this, the creative side or something, whereas the other dudes have willingly taken on the position of like enforcer, So we've created a moderation team that I think is like strong enough to handle all this, and it's a lot different than corralling and harnessing creatives, because there's one goal, make the best book that we can. Whereas in the group, it's like, is this dude making this post because he's trying to stir shit? Is this dude making this post just curiously asking, why do people hate manga or something? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out what's kayfabe and what's real, right?
Exactly.
Like how do you?
And that adds another whole level.
Yeah, who's a baby face, who's a heel? We don't know.
Exactly. So it's been interesting because I was never the mod of any of these other groups. I was just like the crazy dude that's like, send me your art and I'll print it. But now it's like, now there's a whole nother level. But I've loved doing it, and honestly, it's helped my profile level up by a lot, which I'm thankful for. And I can't ever take all the credit. I've got to send shout outs to all the creators on Image Grand Design, all the creators on all the projects. There's so many amazing dudes and ladies.
The title of the Facebook group, says it all. Cartoonist Kayfabe.
Sure does.
Ringside Seats. A Facebook group, inspired heavily by the Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg YouTube channel of the same name. And for those of you tuning in, I know we've definitely championed it and talked about him on the show, even when we had Jim Rugg on the show
multiple times.
But it is a YouTube channel and that I highly recommend if you're into a very deep comic book dissection by like two masters and pros at the craft
and fans too, right? Like that's kind of the best part is that you have these guys who have like all of this clout behind them, and then it's just like they talk about these books like you would a regular, like maybe like a big brother at a comic book store, like, or somebody that was like, that got you into comics, like they're like, yo, if you're not on this, get on this. And I'm not telling you this as a professional. I'm telling you this as a fucking fan. Like, enjoy this shit.
Eli, in your own words, like, how has Cartoonist Kayfabe inspired you? Like, why have they inspired you so to be in charge of a group now that last time I checked was at like 2.6 thousand members, which is it's no small feat. So congratulations to you. But what is it about Cartoonist Kayfabe that like sparked that need to form a collective or run a collective of comic lovers?
I was a big fan of Ed's. Like, I loved Hip Hop Family Tree when it was coming out. That was so cool. I love music history and I love comics. So anytime those things are at a crossroads, I'm there for it. So I was just following Ed. And then when he announced his channel, I was like, this is great. I had never heard of Jim Rugg before. So then once I started watching it and seeing those very things that you were just saying, like, they have a deep love of comics. They have a deep understanding of comics, and they can create these amazing creative genre pushing comics themselves. That inspired me. And then again, the success and joy that I found from the Ween Appreciation Society or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, BST trade groups or whatever that I was in, I was just like, I immediately saw the opportunity that a group around this channel could, just garner this fan base that is like also incredibly smart, also very talented, also like-minded in a way, in a way like I hadn't seen any of the other comic groups I was in that may be more based around how can I, flatten this cover so I can get a higher CGC rating, or show me all your favorite Spider-Man sketches or something. I just thought that it would be like, this is a place that we can really dissect and, make more comics and create better comics. And, for me to find someone like Ben Granoff to create with is something I've always looked for throughout my life. Like, I love all the collaborators throughout my life, but I've always looked for someone who not only worked with me, but pushed me and taught me things and helped me better my game. Not saying these other people didn't. Asa, I love you. Ryan, I love you. Manus, and whoever else I worked with. But it's just like finding these other people that are on this same path and pushing me to get better. And, like when I told Ben, I was like, I don't really understand 2-point perspective. Like, he was like, let me zoom you right now. And we zoomed, and I sent him the piece I was looking at, and he redlined it and showed me where the lines, so they're people they're ready to like help you and help you grow. So that inspired me in that they're already pushing everyone around them to be better. And their YouTube videos almost always make you want to be a better cartoonist. Hell, even make you want to be a better collector. Like, you're pausing that video and like, dude, scrambling in eBay or wherever, my comic shop, to be like, I got to get this before the case.
Too many times.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been late to like some book that they're spotlighting or dissecting. Damn it! And I mean, and a lot of times they start off their video with, hey, Kayfabers, you better go and grab this book for the Kayfabe Effect takes place. And I'm sitting here watching like, well, yeah, it's already taken place, Ed. Thank you. Yeah. Proceed to spotlight this. Well, Eli, what are some of your favorite? What are some of your favorite or go-to Cartoonist Kayfabe videos? Because when I was thinking about some of mine, that Tim Vigil bootleg Batman one came to mind.
Oh God,
I think we even like talked about it on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah, graphic storytelling,
and I want it so bad. I mean, I was so jealous. I was like, damn it, there's probably only one in existence. And they're holding it right now. I wanted that book so bad.
Well, it seemed like he just sent them that. Like,
just the pages, yeah.
I really loved the like, these are the ones that I bought. Spider-Man Hooky was like a book that I'd never heard of.
Oh yeah,
and I immediately bought that one.
Bernie Wrightson.
Yeah, there was a Alex Toth one that they did that was about like people flying planes and stuff. I can't remember what that one was called. That was an insane one. I loved it so much. The Wizard Comics Magazine one.
Oh, he's good. I'm telling you. See, this guy, he comes off coy, and he's good.
Oh no, yeah, he knows how to fucking sink the line like right there.
Which is a good transition because
Ooh, you good too, boy. Watch out.
It sounds like the accumulation of all of this like newfound energy and inspiration that you got from the Facebook group resulted in something tangible and physical and even also digital too. But you ended up creating what was my first introduction to the group and as well as you, Eli, was that a Wizard fanzine that you put out. It was last year, right? You started shipping this year, but it was out last year.
Yeah, it was last March. Who knows? What are years?
I know, right?
Maybe 2 years ago, I think now.
And in comparison to this Image Grand Design, which technically kind of does have a coherent, story or thread, plot point, Wizard fanzine, from what I read, was that you looked at a Wizard magazine and outlined everything, all the columns, the editorials, the special features and pages that were in a normal Wizard magazine, and decided to create your own fanzine in that style, but also as an homage to cartoonist kayfabe. Am I hitting the target?
Yeah, absolutely. Because kayfabe, cartoonist kayfabe started off. They were basically going through Wizard, and that was like their huge big thing. And that I think is what hooked a lot of people, because people of my age and y'all's age, it's like Wizard was such a big thing.
Dude.
It's the only reason I went to the grocery store with my mom. It's like it was like you read it every month. And then I just was like, okay, this is the thing. Like, it's Wizard, we can do that, And they were, and I did people could suggest the name, and the winner won, Wizard. I didn't think of that. I had people in the group think of names, and then they voted on them. And so Wizard with the backwards E won. And they were like, well, don't you think that's a little too close? And then I was like, I found in a long box a 1980s comic magazine called Wizard, spelled Wizzard.
Okay.
So I was like, it's got to be fine.
Well,
so let's just move forward.
Not only that, but yours had a backwards E, and I feel like anytime you throw a backwards E into something, it's automatically kind of cool. It's kind of edgy. It's like,
oh, sure. Eminem did it. I mean, it's look, Toys R Us. Yeah, the list goes on.
That one, and a little bit like the differences in like the creative process for those two things, like Image Grand Design was so much like a team effort, everyone pulling their weight. Frankly, I pulled almost the least amount of weight in the creative process, because I did a 2-page spread, but then, I just kind of helped move it along. And then a lot of my work was in post-production, which was printing it, shipping it, and laying it all out and in design, that type of stuff. Whereas with Wizard, I was very selfish with handing out jobs, because I took it so very seriously. And so I was like, I did everything. I did all the interviews, not everything, but, I did almost all the interviews, and I didn't really outsource the work, and people send in their stuff. But then for issue 2, which is well in the works right now, featuring interviews with many luminaries, including Rick Veitch, William Stout, Bernie Moreau gave me a 10-page comic that is previously unpublished.
You think you're going to be doing these Wizard fanzines a lot more regular?
I cannot agree to that. No.
Fair.
I cannot confirm.
He's like, I will not do that on the record. No.
I just can't promise speed, because I get backed up. And now, while I do have a anti-time convergence under my desk here,
you got like 9 different podcasts you're running. Yeah, of course you get backed up. Like I can see that happening.
I try to bite off as much as I can possibly fit in this mouth. It's a big one. It's a big mouth, and it tries to chew a lot. But
well, I noticed in Image Grand Design, in your front page like letter, the opening, kind of thanking everyone involved with the project. You mentioned that Cosmic Lion Productions, which you run, is looking to expand and start printing. It sounded like other people's comics. Is that going to be kind of like your vision, is to make everything you're doing like more of a comic publisher? type thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got 4 books now that are in the works to be published by Cosmic Lion Productions. I'm working with a band. Actually, she's an intergalactic space alien who landed on Earth in order to make music for us. Her name is Babe Lord. You can check her out, Babe Lord TV, on all the socials. I'm publishing her comic, which is in the final production pieces now. Working on a book with Ben Granoff. 2 books with Ben Granoff. Geez, one's called Oh Fuck Why, and it's the comic that gets you high. It's about radioactive tacos that give people superpowers based on their drugs of choice. And then there's another one called Arcane, which is like a young adult kind of like horror comic where this dude gets he gets this little thing and it's called an Oculus, and it's like this little thing that gives him powers. That's Arcane with Steele Philippek, who's another great podcaster and writer. Rocco Jerome from Image Grand Design. He's got a secret agent kind of like Steranko-y feel.
Nice.
Old Steranko, not new Steranko.
No, I got you.
That's
cool.
And then there's one other book, and that's Craig C.K.'s Rob Liefeld, an extreme life bio comic that he's working on with David Brower.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I'm trying to do those, and I'm trying to expand the title. Yeah.
I was thinking about, our show's relationship with zines, and what I could recall was back in episode 267, which we put out in 2019.
Well done.
We had some fans, we had some zine creators and aficionados on the show. Shout out to Tony Aopi, who is probably listening to this and really excited that we have you on, because I think he was a really big fan of both Image Grand Design and Wizard. But we had him and another individual on to talk about like zines and the importance of the subculture and its impact on pop culture. And I guess I'm just a little curious to hear your thoughts on zines, seeing as you seem to have made some of, a handful of very popular ones centered around some of your favorite fandoms. Like, do you see zines becoming more mainstream, or do you see those kind of entering like that mainstream comic space at any point?
I think that in their essence, a zine cannot enter that sphere because of the ground level creation of the staple and the printer paper with construction paper, or the handmade feel that makes a zine what it is.
Sure.
Like, I only call Wizard a comics magazine, like in name, but it's not really a zine.
Right. It's not as subversive.
It's as much a phone book as anything else is, but I didn't grow up in a zine culture. I'm from a small town in Maryland, so there wasn't too many other creators.
I swear to God, this is like the third guest we've had on recently from Maryland.
Because I'm from Waldorf.
Maryland connection. Here we go.
You're from Waldorf, Maryland.
Yes.
I'm from about 2 hours east of you, Cumberland, Maryland.
I know exactly where that's at. Rock on.
Through it.
All right. Shout out crab cakes and shitty drivers.
Woo!
I've heard from a few listeners that our Maryland talk is everyone's favorite segment of the show.
You know what? You can go fuck yourself. I'm a proud,
Did you go to Wonder Book and Video? Did you grow up at Wonder Book and Video?
Oh, dude, come on.
You trying to sun Cesar on our show?
No.
Eli, you trying to sun Cesar?
Hold on. I'm
trying to look out for you. I got you.
Word. What's up? Okay, I got you. It's straight love.
Yeah,
That's
Wonder
awesome.
Book, man, it's amazing.
But Eli, that is one thing I will say about these 2 products that I've purchased from you. I feel like a steal. I mean, I bought Image Grand Design. I bought actually a few copies, so I spent more than the $5. But when I saw that Image Grand Design, all the proceeds go to Heroes Initiative, which I think is a great comic book charity. I mean, it helps like creators who are falling on hard times. It just kind of provides a fund for them. I thought that was cool. And then when I purchased Wizard, the comics magazine last year, and I got it in, both of these just blew me away by the quality. Like, I can tell that you've put in some time, whether it be you or your team have put some time into thinking about like the physical product. It's a quality product, and to your point, it is the size of a phone book. And when you think about like how many different creators are involved with these 2 various projects, like you're getting plenty. You're getting your return in value
for sure,
easily.
Oh, hands down. Like, your fingers could fucking dance through all the pages of this thing, and you will find a different story, a cool fucking ending, and like it's wonderful.
And And what I like about Image Grand Design, at first, I got it in the mail. I think I was running out, but I quickly flipped through it and I saw the different artists and the different styles and artwork. And I thought it was much like the Wizard fanzine, where it was like, kind of like a collection, like an anthology, a comic anthology. But when I sat down with it today and read through it, I was like, oh shit, there's a coherent story. And it's like a love letter to Image and all the founding fathers and all the different creations that they made in the company.
It made me think of like when I was little and like I saw the issue where Spawn and Chapel like first met. Cool. And like they like Spawn fucked up his face and I thought like I was so cool when I was talking to my friends. I was like, yes, you see, because Chapel's now just as ugly on the outside as he is on the inside. Everyone knows this now.
So the Image and the founding fathers, I feel like, especially as of like this in the last year, we've definitely done a lot of due diligence to put a spotlight on them and talk about their importance and things like that. And it sounds like they, aside from having influenced and inspired Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor and cartoonist kayfabe, it sounds like they've definitely had a big hand in inspiring you guys as well. And I was curious, what specifically has Image or the founding fathers, how have they motivated you when it comes to creating comics or running, the Facebook group page or making, these books?
It's really that the attitude of you're worth it, and like my creation is worth it, and the idea of leaving Marvel and creating your own thing is like so inspiring. Like especially when you watch that Image Revolution movie, right? Classic.
That's a good one.
That guy, the creator, that I can't remember his name right now, interviewing Wizard #1, of course. But it's super inspiring to see just the way that they paint it all, and to see that we're at the top of our game, and maybe like you guys aren't showing us how like our worth, and like we know we can, like we know we've got the like our hand on the zeitgeist, and like we can take it here and create our own thing, and like it's gonna be huge. Okay. And so like it's the inspiration of seeing your worth and knowing that your creation is awesome. And like maybe I think that a through line with a lot of creators is like self-doubt, but like you also like when you can finally see your worth, and when you can finally see that you are creating something that is like gonna blow somebody's mind, maybe you blow 5,000 minds, maybe you blow 4 minds. I think that just blowing someone else's mind is as important as blowing 10,000 other minds, because like you've created something that might inspire that next person. So like that's what inspired me about the Image creators, is the ability to know your worth and know that like if someone isn't seeing that, you can go somewhere else and make it work better. Like you're worth it, and just having the job at the biggest company isn't your worth. Your worth is your creative output, and so I
feel like as the years go by, the bigger that that moment in time in comic history is, like the founding of Image, and like these big.
It's the most American story there is, dude.
For sure.
You got a small group of fucking rebels that basically created their own colony and rebelled against the kingdom. I mean, it's so American, it's not even funny. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you literally have the story of Star Wars. They're fighting imperialism at its most established point in history, right? Like, the 90s, everyone was riding high just before the fucking bankruptcy, but, like, they were riding fucking high. And, the Todd Father himself and all his friends were like, yeah, we're fucking out of here, like, right, exactly.
And there was the big two, and then Image broke off and made room for these other big, for like Dark Horse to kind of take up their place as being someone huge, and Image to become someone huge, and for some of these other places to get a chunk of the marketplace, and I listened to that Matt Luzaniski interview you did last week,
Lizniewski
interview that you just did last week. Such a cool guy, and he was talking about how much it meant to him to be part of Dark Horse, and like exactly like that's the same thing. Like if Image might have not broken out, these other places might not have been able to carve out and take a little bit of that niche.
It's a powerful story.
I feel like I've got this this running curse where, I have to give Cesar credit anytime someone brings up, non-big two books, because I'll never forget. And I bring up the story enough times to where it's probably got its own, season of podcast. But, and only because Cesar brought up how, I think for a lot of you guys in the Facebook group that Ed and Jim are, they are the cool older brother or whoever, the older comic shop reader that got you into more stuff. And that's how Cesar, that's Cesar's relationship, with me was, I was a, you couldn't peel this, crimson M off my forehead. I was motherfucking Marvel boy,
Nice alliteration.
Yeah, and I'll never forget, meeting Cesar and then him kind of like opening my mind. And that running joke that I still don't forget to this day. He was like, one day you're going to get old and crusty and you're going to get tired of these superhero books and you're going to look at Judge Dredd and be like, what's going on across the pond? And I feel like...
what an asshole I was.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Condescending as fuck. But you know what? That's where it
but then
went.
you're like, who's pretty sweet? John Wagner. He's, I really fucking like his work. Brian Pollan did an excellent job when he was with 2000 AD.
So I say all of that to say I think it's cool that there is an outlet and a community of comic readers and fans and people who also dabble in it, that create that, are putting other folks onto more comic books, that are spreading the love and I think doing a lot of like work that kind of inspired like this show. We wanted to put a spotlight and talk about comics. It's sort of like how Eli, you were saying, where it's like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about the process, but I want to talk about why it's so good. I want to, get other people into it. And I guess, Eli, I wanted to know from you, who are some comic creators that you would recommend to the listener listening right now who has maybe only dabbled in mainstream comics, the big two, they just haven't felt, had any motivation or direction to go when it comes to looking at like indie creators and independent publishers? Like, who are some creators that come to mind to you when it comes to serving as an entry point for new people?
First, you got to think that like an indie book and like an indie creator, Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, Ninja Turtles are in essence indie creators from the start.
100%.
Can I say
100%.
I also feel like their story is American as a motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
like,
limited resources,
using
a Xerox machine to fucking put out your damn comics. Absolutely,
I absolutely understand why you have them tattooed on your arm. Like,
come on,
we did a TMNT episode a couple months ago, and the deep dive research I went down to, I was like, holy shit, these guys were Image before Image, Like,
sure.
I can see the seeds. But Eli, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had to say that.
Absolutely. My indie world was blown open by the Generation X Underground special by Jim Mahfood. And so that was the moment where I went from, like, I say Turtles because I would say that that's my first indie book, although I read the Archies way more than the Mirages when I was a kid.
Those double digests, man, still hold up.
Killer. But like, Generation X came out. I was also a huge Marvel fan. That was like my book. I loved Chris Pacello. I loved that. And so then when the Marvel Underground special came out, I was like, holy shit, like you can make black and white comics about playing Atari and like it's like riveting. And so that's when, then I like started digging on Jim Mahfood and I bought everything, his stupid comics, started getting into his Girl Scouts and stuff. And then that's when I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole other world. And then that's when I started like branching out and reading like weirder stuff. And I would find like, Magic Pickle by Scott Morse, or like, I always read Mad magazine. So then I would go back to some of that stuff.
Were you ever a flaming carrot guy?
What's that?
Were you ever a flaming carrot guy?
I never got huge into Flaming Carrot other than the Turtles crossovers. I definitely read those a lot.
Of course. Shit, man. Ben Edlund's work on The Tick for sure counts.
I know. I never even got into that either. I just read the comics. Or sorry, watched the cartoon.
He was in charge of it, so it's okay.
Yeah, right.
That's another thing, right? Like, there's a lot of cross pollination there, where like Ben Edlin got the dudes from Venture Brothers their start. Like he vouched for them, and like as a result of them liking all those indie books and liking indie comics and mainstream comics, they've basically created the most perfect parody of that sort of world with Venture Brothers. Like I said, that's why I was asking about like cross pollination, because I feel like if you're into like, there seems to be sort of a point when you are first going into the forays of indie, quote unquote, indie comics, right? Where you are looking at it from an outsider's perspective as a subculture. And then after a while, you sort of transition from like, this is not a subculture, these are my people now. Like it's such an interesting sort of weird transition, right? You go from like, hey, I'm into this. This is kind of subversive. And now it's like, it's your everyday life, man. Like you're living that life now, like, does it feel weird? Like being now, like that's where you are. You've been that guy.
No, I love being there now. And because of the like places that I found myself in, I didn't always find myself like with a lot of other comic book creators most of my life, that I was always looked to as like the comic book guy, or like the guy who knew about comics. And so then, as I started creating my own comics and stuff, I was living in Burlington, Vermont when I published my first like real comic by photocopying it at a Kinko's.
Like your heroes, man.
Exactly. Like, I always felt like, I was doing something that was like underground guerrilla or something, that I was like, going through the system in order to like get my thing out there. I would, book these. I was working as a promoter as a music venue, so that I would always be like, oh, and comic book release party. And it's like, live art and stuff like that. So I always did that. And then as far as just like other indie creators, like I try to not, I don't want to say like Klaus or Chris Ware or something, because those are like the go-tos for the kayfabe group. And I don't want to sound like, a broken record, or like I don't have my original faves or whatever, but like,
you're like, guys, I'm pretty much awesome. I love R. Crumb. I think
I did grow up with a lot of R. Crumb,
Sure.
Like I was saying earlier with like my Grateful Dead and Fish Culture. I grew up with the Fillmore West posters and the like Hayden Ashbury.
Oh yeah.
Wild, like, like Wes Wilson or Victor Moscoso, those artists, like that was the art that was like grabbing me. Like I was huge on like Jimi Hendrix. And so, the art of his posters and stuff like that, that was kind of like one of the things that drove me to think outside the panel border, initially.
Sure.
So that type of stuff. And then getting turned on to Zap Comics, now that I think about it, was another huge thing. And even like Don Martin or something.
You see what I'm saying, Matt? You're rattling off all these words, and like we know what you're talking about, but because we're in the culture, right? But like anybody outside of this is like going to have to be like rewinding and like, wait, what did he say? That sounds cool. Oh, I gotta research this person, right? Like you're in it, man. You're in it.
And I've steeped myself in it for as long as I can remember. It's been, comics have been everything to me.
You've arrived. You're the guy.
Yes.
When you look at, what you got going on with Cosmic Lion Production, things like, things that you produced under that umbrella with Image Grand Design, the Wizard Comics Magazine, when you look at, what you got going on with the Cartoonist Kayfabe ringside seats, and then your various podcasts and things you got going on, what's the one shared message amongst those that you're trying to get across? Like if you could go ahead and put that into a neat,
encapsulate that in a sentence, man, like your mission statement.
My 10 years of work into one.
Not so much.
No, I know. I got it. I got the answer.
It's all right.
Easy for me. Yeah. It's just create, like just make, because like, if you're afraid of doing it, or you make 5 episodes of your podcast and no one's listening, doesn't matter. Keep going. Like just create nonstop, put shit out there, grow your body of work, make your body as fat as possible. It's different than real life. You want to trim your body down.
Don't tell me how to live my life, Eli.
Do whatever you want. Yes. Keep it round. No, you look very ripped. From here. Absolutely.
Yo, I
The
love
body
Eli,
of work, however, you got to
Yes, the
you
body
want
of
to
work.
build it.
Yeah, you want to
Just-
stack that one.
Yeah,
You want-
exactly.
yeah.
Just make and make and make. And then something I learned from Kevin Smith back in the day too was don't be afraid to pimp yourself. Pimp. Like talk about it and get the word out there. And modesty in marketing is worthless. Like you can be humble and not be modest when it comes to pimping your shit.
Yeah, modesty is almost the antonym of the word marketing.
But that's hard
Yeah,
to do if you're an artist,
for sure.
right? Like
It's
most
hard.
artists don't
It's-
think that way. Yeah.
It's hard to tread the line of humility and that marketing savvy, but like you can do it. I like to think that I have done it. I try my hardest because I'm a humble person. I like to think I always want to make sure that everyone I've worked with is getting the glean, and I want everyone to shine. Like that is my goal. Is another thing that I've started doing, or that I've been doing with the Kayfabe group. People are like, "Oh, can I post my thing on here? Can I post my Kickstarter?" Hell yeah, dude. Like this is your target audience. Like we've created this microcosm of the target audience for you to create. So if you want to share your book, you want to share your podcast, you want to share your Kickstarter, this is the fucking microcosm that has been created to get to the exact ears. And so when these people are posting their books, I am buying every single one. And here's where that is big. I got this like dresser thing over here. That's all my comics. Not all my comics, of course not. There's long boxes.
Of course.
But this is like my faves, My Batman shelf was turned into my kayfabe shelf. So I took out all the Batmans and put them in a short box. And now that shelf is just all the kayfabe books that I've been getting. And so like, I just try to buy, like every time someone posts a book, I try to buy it. I know it's not every single time, but now I have all these ones like, okay, so these are just right here because I just interviewed Dan Moeller for the page, but this is his 3 books. Mother Vine, about eating ayahuasca and learning crazy.
Oh shit.
Learning the world.
Hell yeah.
So I am so interested in seeing what each and every person creates. And every single one of them is completely different art style, new, different. Comics is so versatile. It's just beautiful.
Damn.
What was the question?
No, you don't worry. You answered it. You answered it like
okay.
tenfold. Eli, this has been a fantastic conversation. And one thing I will say about you, I feel like you're especially in the comic space, you seem to be the living embodiment of that phrase, create it and they will come. It has been like really cool to
Dude,
watch.
we are going to be mad if you roll through Jacksonville
oh my
and
God,
you don't
boy,
send us a
what?
text, man. Come
Don't.
on now.
Don't do that. But look, I will say that you have my respect as someone who has been podcasting for a long time. I looked at your resume, and when I was doing the research, and I was like, I could be doing more. But what I really appreciate is that your heart's in the right place. It sounds like a lot of these things kind of naturally kind of happened. You kind of stumbled your way into, well, not even stumbled, but you know what I mean. But like you've kind of found your way to these opportunities by being just like genuine. That's it. You are very genuine, and it shows. Like, and in the Wizard fan magazine, in the Image Grand Design, like the passion shows. And the honesty shows as well. So I commend you for that. But I will also encourage, of course, our listeners to consider checking out and buying a copy of Image Grand Design at imagegranddesign.com. It's only $5. All the proceeds go to, like I said, that Heroes Initiative charity and whatnot. And you're not only that, but it's the embodiment and the accumulation of the sweat and tears of almost 30 artists around the world.
Yeah, if you want to see what a magical sigil looks like, that will basically influence your dreams in the best way possible, get this book.
For sure.
Please. It's not even an exaggeration.
And I think you've got a couple of copies, I think maybe digital even. Do you still have physical copies of the Wizard fanzine?
Recently, I started a distribution deal with a local comic book shop called Collector's Paradise. And they were basically like, we will buy all of your... just everything you've got left of Image Grand Design and Wizard. So
that is awesome.
If you go to comicsandcards.net and you search either Cosmic Lion. I'm right on the homepage right now. It just says in the creators corner, click Cosmic Lion, and you can get the last of the Image Grand Design Disaster physical copies that are left in the world. There's a few wizards left. I signed them all, and they all come with free stickers. So if you want to get a hard copy of Image Grand Design, it's the only place to do it.
Okay. If I would have known that, I would have bought some physical copies. Sorry, all I've got to give is the digital. I did not know that. So that's cool. And I will absolutely champion
it's pretty new.
And recommend buying a physical copy of the Image Grand Design book for sure. That's cool as hell, Eli. And Eli, I'm going to put a lot of these helpful links in the description. So for anyone listening, I've made it easy on you. There's just look in the show notes in the description. Click some of those links. I've got a link to Eli's Twitter as well as the Facebook group page that we've been talking about. But Eli, do you have any parting words or last things you want to share for our listeners?
Yeah, just check out cosmiclionproductions.com. That's basically the hub for everything. I am a writer and artist myself. I have a creator-owned book called Monkey Lion about an intergalactic Afro-funk band on tour through the galaxy.
Oh, Jesus.
It's it's a kind of out of print. And if you would have asked me, what's the one thing that you haven't accomplished? It's like finishing my own book, because I started all this stuff, and I haven't been able to get to it. And so I'm working very hard to tidy up this 3-issue run here. There's 3 issues out right now. Only one available now, again, because I got so sidetracked. But if you do go to cosmiclionproductions.com, the one thing, if you're interested in my own work, I have the Chronicles of Cosmic Lion, which is a mini comic that I hand make for every person individually with all the comics that I've made from the last 20 years. Basically, I've traveled, I lived in the Virgin Islands for a while, and I lived in Vermont, and I lived in Maryland, and just traveled and did these things, and lost love and lost family members, and created and wrote, and it's mostly autobiographical, and so there's all this crazy stuff in there, and that would be what I would say. Pick it up. It's only $5 on my website. I'll make it exactly for you. Everything comes sketched. So cosmiclionproductions.com if you're interested in my own work.
You're just you're just chock full of love and care. That's what I feel like. You can describe you as. You make custom comics for people. I feel like that says a lot. That's cool as hell.
I mean, I want to create. I want my work to stand apart, and like maybe my own self-doubt is that like, oh, I'm not the greatest artist, or, I'm not the best storyteller or whatever. But like, I try to like make up for what I see as my shortcomings with creative packaging or sketches, or by these old comics there's my writings through my travels when I was, living in New York City, or, my childhood drawings, or there's a Jim Mahfood sketch that I put in there that he did of Buckethead for me.
Oh, Buckethead. Nice.
I was like, my Buckethead. Okay. So that's it. CosmicLionProductions.com is where you can get my podcast, my videos, all that stuff. Monkey Lion, the Intergalactic. Yep. That's it. You can find it all there. I'm super excited to be on the cast. I love just talking comics, man. Does it show?
Honestly, man, we were happy to fucking have you here, man. Like I'm inspired now, man. You have a very infectious energy, about you. Like, I mean, and that's completely genuine, because just listening to you talk and how passionate you are, it's just kind of like a reminder of why I fuck with comics in the first place, man. Like I think you could speak on this as well. Like we both have not different tastes, but we've been in it long enough to have a varied, eclectic variety of tastes. But when we come together, it's always that same feeling that I'm getting right now. And that's just basically passion. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Absolutely. It's like, wow, there's got to be something to this, because this person is like really exuding like this energy and positivity. It's like, I kind of want to like see what this, what this is all about.
I was like, and this is not a ham-fisted segue, despite the shortcomings on my part. That's what you get when you get this book. Like that's how I felt. Like this fucking Grand Design book is so beautiful. Like it's ridiculous. I like the Grand Disaster stuff more personally, but I'm a little fucked up. So,
Well, speaking of Grand Disaster 2, segue,
okay,
is that today we released the digital version. I said it earlier, but you can go to imagegranddesign.com to get that digital version. And we are past $2,500 raised for Hero Initiative just through the digital sales and through all of the money after printing and shipping. After I've recouped all my expenses now, and it's all just going to the Hero Initiative.
That's
so,
outstanding.
That is at least, if you're looking at $5 a piece, and not to get in your pockets, but just to highlight the accomplishment, that's almost like 500 people, if not more, that have, purchased one of these books.
Yeah, and huge thanks to all the shout outs, that Ed and Jim do give us on Cartoonist Kayfabe, doing the episodes.
Talk about a signal boost.
Huge.
Good stuff.
Those guys are just awesome.
Yeah, they are.
And they're both involved in Wizard 2. Jim already did a four-page spread and submitted it to me for Wizard 2. Ed's a different dude. I'm gonna have to go to Ed and draw it out of him. He's already said he would, but they're different dudes, and I love them for that. They're just different heads, and that's why that channel works so well, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I was very impressed. You were like, it's exactly this. Like you figured that shit out super quick. Botter is both. He is both Donatello and Leonardo simultaneously. He's both. He manages to do it both with grace.
Yeah, that is probably my favorite compliment I've ever gotten. That is pretty fucking good.
It's true.
And here's the thing. C only gives me compliments when Ashley and Ed, our other co-hosts, aren't here because he's got to maintain this facade of
I'm
Raph.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So Eli, look, this has been a lot of fun. Like C said, you best not come through Jackson. Why not hit us up?
I will. I'll definitely hit you guys up.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on.
We would.
If I wasn't already an excited member of that Facebook group page, I'm about to go on there right now and just scroll for hours.
Oh, word.
To see some recommendations. And I recommend, like I said, our listeners to do that. I'm gonna have links for a lot of this stuff in the show notes and description just to keep it easy on you guys. But for the most part, there you have it, Shortbox Nation. Join the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Facebook group page. Give Eli a follow to get introduced to more cool comic stuff. Let's keep the conversation going, and feel free to reach out to us on social media or send us a letter to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Make sure you're subscribed to the show on your favorite podcast app, because the following week, because we are taking next week off, your boy needs a vacation, a little one. The crew, Ashley and Ed, will be back with us. We'll be talking about Journey into Mystery, Fear Itself. It was picked by Ashley in celebration of the upcoming Loki Disney Plus series. But if that's too long for you to wait, man, consider joining our Patreon community for some new bonus episodes we're about to drop. We're doing a Spawn episode.
Oh, yeah.
A Spawn Spotlight episode on the animated series, speaking about, Image and the Founding Fathers.
Oh, yeah. Keeping it gross.
That'll be our latest episode of our spin-off podcast series, Pilot's License. And, shameless plug. I'm gonna keep hamming up the shameless plug.
Do it.
We did a TMNT episode, and it was fantastic. So if you want to hear our bonus podcast series about comic book themed animated shows and cartoons, check out our Patreon community. There'll be a link in the description for you to check out. Other than that, in the meantime, I want you guys to take care of yourselves. I want you to have a great week, and as always, continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. Peace.
Deuces.